This is part 1 of working this poncho. Look for part 2 in just a few days after maybe up to 5 days after part 1 goes up. I am waiting for some more yarn to come in the mail that should actually be here today, and B, it's just going to require 2 videos, or it's going to wind up being a very, very long video, and I just would prefer to do it in 2 parts. So here is the video now, part 1. Hello everyone, welcome to Just Vintage Crochet, and today I want to make this. I know it's a little dark right now. It's first thing in the morning, so the sun isn't quite all the way up yet. So I know it's still August, but I figured if I got this out this month, it'll give you guys a chance to catch up on your whips, and then come autumn, the fall, you can make this, and I absolutely love it. Now, I'm not exactly sure if it's from the 60s or the 70s, but based on the pants, I want to say it's from the 70s. Even the hair, I kind of want to say it's from the 70s. So I'm really leaning in on it's from the 70s. It's definitely one of those mail order patterns, and you can really see that the way it looks. Yeah, it's mail order, but let's get right into this gorgeous pineapple, pinecone poncho, turtleneck poncho, I should say. What I have here is a gift from one of the viewers named Ivana C. And this is Red Heart Soft. I wasn't sure that this was going to be enough. I'm confident that this probably won't be enough for this, so I went ahead and ordered myself another pack that should be here tomorrow. And I did already gauge out this pattern, so that's why you can see some of the yarn is already kind of used here. What I determined, they call for a 4mm hook. There's no way. I determined a 5.5mm hook is what we need to meet gauge with our modern yarns. Now, this is a number 4 worsted weight yarn. It calls for a 5.5mm hook, actually, but I didn't even know that until after I went ahead and checked out the specs of the yarn. This yarn, I think this yarn would be perfect for this pattern because it is a wearable. It's a very warm wearable. You don't want something scratchy and itchy on your skin. This stuff here has the feel, the silkiness, the softness, and the sheen of Caron Simply Soft. It just doesn't have that hefty weight. You will get a drape with this. You just don't get that heft and that weight with like you do with Caron Simply Soft. So I really like this, and I will leave a link down below for where you can pick some of this up on Amazon. It's not an affiliate link. It's just a link. Okay. So let's just get started. Let's jump right on in. It does say that it is a one size fits most. One size fits 8 through 16. So here we go. It does call for a 4-ply synthetic worsted weight yarn in 4-ounce skeins, but their ounces compared to these, you know, that's whenever you're going to get into the weights of things rather than the length of things. So I don't ever rely on that. I made that mistake with the Angora yarn, and I wound up buying way too much. So it says here, it says that the original poncho is made in Busilla Wonder Knit 4-ply synthetic worsted. So if you want to look that up, that could give you an idea. So I did go ahead and gauge it out. We're going to start with a chain of 68, and we should, without stretching, it should measure 19 inches. Mine measured right at about 19 inches. It was just a bit under. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to start. We are going to join to form a ring too, so also make sure not to twist, or if you want to do that thing where you work a few stitches and then attach the end, you know, make it a little easier. Of course, I like to leave a nice long tail for weaving in. And let's go ahead with our 5.5mm hook. I don't know if I was able to show that very well. No, it's too dark still. Let's chain 68. I'll be right back. We're going to go ahead and keep your chain straight and form a ring by slip stitching into your very first chain made. There we go. And it wants us to chain 1 and work a single crochet into the same chain we slip stitched into. Now yarn over twice. We will be working trebles. For UK, that is going to be a double treble. And I guess I should have specified for UK, that is a double crochet that we just worked there. So US treble crochet, we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the next one over, work what they are calling a shell, which is 3 trebles, or 3 double trebles if you're in the UK, into the same stitch. For the remainder of this pattern, I'm just going to refer to US stitches. So at the start here, I will speak in both terms just to kind of start things off. Now we're going to skip 1 stitch, and in the next stitch over, we're going to work a single crochet or a UK double crochet. Okay, and that's going to be the repeat all the way to the end. Yarn over and skip a stitch, and in the next stitch over, work the 3 treble crochet, US treble crochet shell or UK double treble. There we go. Skip 1 stitch, and in the next stitch over, work a single crochet or a UK double crochet. So there we go. That's going to be the repeat all the way to the end, and it says to continue to work this repeat until you have 3 chains left unworked. Then come on back. Okay, so I've got my 3 unworked chains left, so I'm just going to skip 1 stitch. There's my last single crochet worked in right there. So I'm going to skip a stitch and work 1 more shell, and then slip stitch to our starting single crochet to end the round. There we go, 3, that is it. Now we will slip stitch right into the top of this starting single crochet here. Then we will chain 4, and that counts as our first treble crochet. Okay, so it does say to turn, and into this same stitch we're going to work 2 more treble crochet. Well, I kind of want to work them over here where the actual stitch is. I'm just going to stick them right in there. Ooh, I got to yarn over 1 more time. Okay, and then into the top of the next shell, so you've got 3 treble in the next shell. In that middle treble, work your single crochet, just like that. Now yarn over twice and into the single crochet between these shells, work your next treble stitch. I'm sorry, your next shell stitch of 3 trebles. So this will be the repeat. You will then secure that shell to the middle stitch of the next shell over with a single crochet, just like that. Then yarn over twice and into the next single crochet over, work your shell. So this will be the repeat all the way around, and I will meet back up with you when we get back around to the beginning. Okay, let's move on to round 3. Let's finish this round off first. So I've got my last single crochet right here into the center stitch of my last shell, and we're just going to jump right over and slip stitch into the top of that starting chain 4. Now what we're going to do is slip stitch into the next stitch over, which will place us in the middle of this shell stitch here. Chain 1 and turn. Into that same stitch, we're going to work a single crochet, yarn over twice, and into the next single crochet over, work a shell. work a single crochet into the top of the next stitch over. By the way, this is an increase round. Okay, work a shell into the next single crochet over. And a single crochet into the next shell over. So now we have 2 shells made. We're going to make 1 more shell into the next single crochet over, then we're going to work our increase. And I'm going to show you a little trick to help make this portion of what we're doing a little easier to figure out what we need to do next. So now we have 3 shells made. Now we're going to work our increase. So in the very first treble crochet of the next shell over, work a single crochet. Yarn over once and into the middle stitch of that same shell, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Now into the last stitch of that same shell, work a single crochet. That is an increase. I'm going to mark that increase, and I'll show you why here in a minute. So yarn over twice, and in the next single crochet right next to the single crochet we just made, right here we work another shell. So we're going to start working our pattern as usual. Work your single crochet into the next shell over. Work your shell into the next single over. Work your single into the next shell over. That is 2 shells, 2 full-size shells made. We need 1 more. So into the next single over, work a shell. The reason I say full-size shell is because we've got double crochet shells too, so they are smaller. Okay, now into the first of this next shell over, into the first stitch, work your single crochet, yarn over, work your double crochet shell into the next stitch over of that shell, and into the last stitch of the shell, work your single crochet. So the reason I wanted you to mark it with a stitch marker, and I'm just going to use 1 stitch marker all the way around, but just for visual purposes, I'll go ahead and put 1 more in. So now you can see what our repeat is. We're going to work 1, 2, 3 full-size shells. After you work your 3rd full-size shell, in the first treble of the next shell over is where you're going to place your single crochet, then double crochet shell, then finally your single crochet. Then go ahead and work your 3 regular full-size shells as normal before working your next increase shell. So that's why I feel like the stitch markers are going to be really helpful in this. And here you can visually see what that looks like now. Increase, shell, 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 increase. Okay, so you'll work that all the way around. You should have 17 full-size shells and 5 little double crochet increase shells by the time you get back around to the beginning. So I will be right back. Okay, so let's go ahead and close off, but before I close off the round, let's count. Well, I went ahead and kept all the stitch markers in, so let's count those first. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I've got 5 of the smaller shells. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then the last 2 on the end, 16 and 17. So right on the money now. And it says to join with a slip stitch into the starting single crochet. There we go. Okay, now we are going to chain 4 for our first treble and turn, and into that same stitch work 2 more trebles, If I said trebles, I meant to say trebles for our first shell. And we're basically going to work this round just like we did round 2. So whatever we see, we work. So we just worked our first shell. So in the next shell over, we're going to work our single crochet. Then we're going to work a shell into the next single over. 1, 2, and 3. Then into the next shell over, that middle stitch, we work our single. And into the next single over, we work our shell. So this is going to be the repeat all the way around. You're just going to go ahead and work a single right where I have that stitch marker, then work a shell, single, shell, single. So we're not doing any increasing on this round, but we will be increasing the next one. Okay, so work your regular stitch pattern all the way to the beginning and go ahead and join with a slip stitch into the top of chain 4. Okay, so let's end round 4. Worked my last single crochet into the top of my last shell, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 4, chain 1 and turn. So we're going to work an increase round, and this is one of those quite wordy patterns. I worked the whole round already just because I wanted to make sure that I could do it right. They really threw in a lot of words that weren't necessary. It's quite simple. We're gonna work 7 chain loops with 3 shells in between each of the chain loops. It's really easy. And when I say 7 chain loops, I mean like 7 loops of 7 chains. So into our first stitch that we slip stitched into, work your first single crochet. Of course, I split the yarn. There we go. And then work a shell into the next single crochet over. Now, we are going to be working 3 shells between these 7 chain loops. But our second shell is always going to be our increase. So we just worked a full shell. Now, just like we did in the last increase round, we're going to do all of our increase shells by working a single crochet into the first treble crochet, then work 3 double crochet into the middle treble, and then work your last treble, work your single crochet, and then yarn over twice and into the single crochet right next to it, work your next full-size shell. And then like before, it's not entirely necessary. I just like to do it because I like the visual of being able to just glance over and see where my increase is so I know I'm on track. So now we're going to work a single crochet into the next shell over, just like that. Chain 7. Skip over all these stitches and into the center stitch of the next shell over, work your single crochet, just like that. Okay, and then come down here and work a full-size shell. So that's going to be shell number 1. So shell number 1 is full-size, shell number 2 is the increase, and shell number 3 is full-sized. And you must always end every shell with a single crochet into the next shell over. So there's our full-size shell, with the exception of the increase shell, of course. That doesn't get into the next one over. That we go straight into the first treble. Yarn over once and work your 3 double crochet into the next stitch over. And then end with a single crochet into the last treble. Now we work our full-size shell into the single crochet. End your last full-size shell with a single crochet into the next shell over, plus chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Skip over 1, 2, 3 stitches, and in the 4th stitch over, work a single crochet, putting you right into the middle of that next shell. Yarn over twice and immediately start working your 3 shells in a row again. 3 being 1 full size, 1 increase, and 1 full size. So I'll do this one more time with you. Nope, that's not correct. There we go. And I do like to mark my increase shells, the double crochet shells. So we worked our first full-size shell. Now we have to work an increase shell, which means we start with the first single crochet into the first stitch. Work our 3 doubles into the next stitch over. 1, 2, and 3. Work a single crochet into the last. Then we work our next full-size shell. I don't think I did a treble there, did I? I don't think so. Sorry, I had my mind on something. There we go. And 3. Always end. You got your 3 shells. Always end your last full-size shell with a single crochet into the top of the next shell over, plus chain 7. There's 7. Skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, and in the 4th stitch over, work your single crochet. Okay, so keep working this repeat all the way around. You should end with 7 chain loops with 3 shells worked between each one. So when you get down toward the end here, come on back and we will finish this up together, okay? So here is how we're going to end round 5. So I already have my last chain 7, it's single crocheted into the next shell over. Let's work into the single crochet right here, a full-size shell. It's 1, 2, and 3. Into the next shell over, we're going to work an increase shell. So into the first stitch, we work our single. Into the next stitch, we work our 3 doubles. 1, 2, and 3. Work your last single. Then we're going to just skip this last portion right here and jump over into your starting single crochet and work a slip stitch to join the round. There you go, just like that. Now we have ended with our 2 7 chains and 3 shells between them, so we're even all the way around. Okay, now we are going to chain 4 and turn, and that counts as our first treble. So we're going to work a shell into our first stitch right here. So work 2 more treble crochet. One single crochet into the next shell over. Now we're going to work a shell into the single crochet. And 1 single crochet into the next shell over. Now we're going to chain 3, okay, and then yarn over twice, and into this chain 7 we start our first pineapple. So we're going to work 9 treble crochet into the chain 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There we go. 9 treble, chain 3, and this will be our repeat. You're going to work a single crochet into the top of the next shell, then start working your shells and single crochets until your last shell here, where you're going to work your single crochet, chain 3, and work your 9 trebles. So this is what the repeat looks like basically. So let's work this treble together. We'll do this one more time together. Work your single into the next shell. Work your next shell into the single. 2 and 3. Single into the last shell before the chain 7. Then chain 3 and work your 9 trebles. I'll be right back. I'm going to work these off camera. Okay, there are my 9 trebles. Then you just chain 3 and you start working your repeat again, starting with the single crochet into the top of the next shell and then work your shell. Okay, work this all the way around. When you get to the end, come on back and we will end this round together because they have a little bit of instruction for when we get to the end area. So I'll be right back. Okay, let's finish off round 6. So I have my last 9 trebles. Let's work a chain 3, single crochet into the top of this shell, and then immediately join the round with a slip stitch into the top of your starting chain 4. There we go. Now we have 2 shells between the 9s equally all the way around. Okay, on to round 7. Okay, so for round 7, I undid my chain 1 there because you probably noticed I ended with the chain 1, but now we need to slip stitch without chaining 1, slip stitch into the next stitch over, putting us in the middle of this shell, into the middle stitch of this shell. Now chain 1 and turn and work a single crochet into that same stitch. There we go. And now we are going to chain 3 from our starting single crochet and work a double crochet into the top of the treble of the pineapple, chain 3, and then repeat all the way to the end. 1 double crochet, chain 3, double crochet into the next treble, chain 3, double crochet into the next treble. All the way to the end. 2, 3, double. Did I skip one? No. No. 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now we should have 9 double crochets separated by a chain 3. Chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and work a single crochet into the top of the first shell over. There we go. So this is going to be our repeat. Work a shell between these 2 shells here into the single crochet, a regular shell, so full-size shell I should say, with trebles. And with a single crochet into the top of the next shell over. Then chain 3 and work your pineapple stitches exactly as we did before. So work this all the way around, and when you get done working your last pineapple stitch, come on back and we will end this round together. I'm going to go ahead and mark my starting single crochet for no other reason than I like to have it there. Okay, let's end round 9. I just worked my last pineapple repeat and my last single crochet into the top of the next shell over. So now what we're going to do is work one more shell right here into this single crochet. Let me yarn over twice. There we go. That's 1, 2, and 3. And from here, we're just going to slip stitch into our starting single crochet to close the round off. Okay, now without chaining, go ahead and turn and slip stitch your way over to this second treble crochet. So that's 1 and that's 2. Chain 4. For your first treble, work 2 more treble. This is where our shell is going to be worked right now. This round is going to be really, really easy. Chain 4 and working into you're going to skip over this chain 3 right here and working into your chain 3s of the pineapple. Work a single crochet, chain 3, next chain 3 space of the pineapple over, single crochet, chain 3 and repeat, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, single, 1, 2, 3, single, 1, 2, 3, single, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, one more time. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over and work a shell into the top of this shell. Oops, I guess I lost my wraps. There we go. And that is how this row is going to be worked all the way around. Very simple repeat. 2, 3, 4. Then skipping over this chain 3 right here because this is not actually part of the pineapple, but your first chain 3 should be the chain 3. You can see these 2 treble crochet right here, and coming off of them is 2 double crochet right there. There you go, just like that. And then your chain 3 and repeat. Chain 3. Okay, all the way to the end. Oops. And then you're going to work a chain 4 and into the top of this shell, right into that middle treble there, you're going to work a shell all the way around. I will meet back up with you when we get back around to the beginning. Okay, so let's finish up the 9th round. I've already worked my pineapple repeat. I have my chain 4, and now I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of my starting chain 4. And the next round is going to be really, really easy. We're just going to repeat what we did in the last round. So we're going to, without chaining anything, we're going to slip stitch over to the second or the middle treble crochet, chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and turn. And work our first shell again right here. Chain 4. The only difference being we are reducing these loops by 1 more every time we work around. So that's the only difference, is that there's going to be 1 less loop to work. So with our chain 4, jump into the first loop of the pineapple and work your single crochet. Chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, all the way to the end. That is one great thing about working these pineapple stitches, is once you get into them, they are so easy. Okay, chain 4. That is my last loop. And then right into the top of your shell, work another shell. And that's it. So just repeat this all the way around. Join at the top of your starting chain 4 with a slip stitch, and then come on back. I'll be right back. Okay, so I joined with a slip stitch into the top of my starting chain 4. Now let's work round 11. So we're going to chain 4. We're going to change things up a little bit. We are going to turn, but now we're going to work some increases. So into this same stitch, work a whole shell, a full shell. Oops, I don't think I was. Yeah, there we go. Now chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to work our pineapple repeat. So single crochet plus chain 3. And of course, we're working one less loop this time around. Again, we're going to continue to reduce them into this sort of cone shape, for those not familiar with the pineapple stitch. 1, 2, 3, single, 1, 2, 3, single, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now here's where we're going to work an increase. Our increase actually started right here. So we're going to work a full shell into the first stitch of this shell. So 3 treble, 1, 2, and 3. Into the middle stitch, work your single crochet. Yarn over and into the last stitch, work your full shell. Chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and work your pineapple repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Then chain 6, 4, 5, 6, and I'll work this increase with you one more time. So into the first treble, we work a full shell. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next treble over, work your single, and into the last treble of the shell, work your full shell. That is the increase. Then you will chain 6 and work your pineapple repeat. Okay, so here is the repeat, just like this. So we've created 2 new shells. There we go. So keep working this repeat all the way around, and I will meet back up with you when we get back around to the beginning, where I believe we're going to finish by working the repeat of a shell and a single crochet and then a slip stitch into the top of this shell. That's what I believe we're going to do, but I haven't read that far ahead yet. Okay, yes. Let's end this round with a shell into the first stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and a slip stitch into the starting chain 4. There we go. Okie doke. Let's see what we do next. Okay, so without chaining, slip stitch over into the next stitch, chain 1 and turn, and work a single crochet into that same stitch, work a shell into the next single crochet over, we're going to work a increase again, so work a single crochet into the middle stitch of this shell, and then work a shell into the last stitch of the shell. What we're trying to accomplish in this round is to have 3 shells between the pineapples. 2 and 3. Chain 6 again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Work our pineapple repeat. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 6 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Into the first stitch, work a shell. It's 1, 2, and 3. Single crochet into the very next stitch over of this shell. Work a shell into the single crochet between the 2 shells. 1, 2, and 3. Single crochet into the middle stitch of the next shell, forgive me, and then a shell into the last stitch of this shell, and that should give us 3 shells between the pineapples. 2 and 3, and yes. So that's going to be the repeat. You're going to work a chain 6 and work your pineapple repeat, and then work your 3 shells just like this, where your first shell is worked into the first treble, work a single crochet, come down here and work a shell, forgive me, single crochet, work a shell in between the 2 shells, single crochet, and then into the last stitch of your second shell, work a shell, and then chain 6 and carry on. Meet back up with me when we get back around to the beginning, and we will finish this round off together. So let's close off round 12. I've just finished working my pineapple pattern repeat, chain 6. Now yarn over twice and into the first treble crochet, we're going to work a full-size shell. In fact, in the rest of the pattern from here on out, they're all going to be just full-size shells, no more double crochet shells. There we go, and then join with a slip stitch into our starting single crochet. Now we have 3 shells between the pineapples. Now we are going to chain 4 and turn and work a shell into the same stitch we just chained into, we just slip stitched into. Okay, now we are going to work a single crochet into the center stitch of this next shell and work a shell into the last stitch of this shell. So we're still increasing. And I'm going to go ahead and mark the top of my turning chain. Now we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Work our pineapple repeat. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Chain 7. And into the next pineapple stitch over, forgive me, into the next shell stitch over, work the very first treble, work a shell. Work a single crochet into the next stitch over. Work a shell into the next single crochet over. What we're looking for now is 4 shells between the pineapples. 2 and 3. Work a single crochet. Work a shell into the next single crochet over. 1, 2, oops, and 3. Work a single crochet, and into the last treble of the last shell, work another shell. Chain 7. 4, 5, 6, 7, and work your pineapple repeat. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, nope. Got ahead of myself. Chain 7, 5, 6, and 7. Then into the first, we're going to repeat again, into the first treble of the next shell over, work a shell. So I will go over this with you just one more time now. Into the next stitch over, single crochet. Into the next single crochet over, work a shell. 1, 2, and 3. And then into the next shell over, work your single crochet. And into the next single over, work your shell. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next or the last shell of the group, work your single, and into the last treble of that shell, work a shell. 1, 2, and 3. And then you will chain 7 and work your pineapple repeat. So this is what we are looking for now on this round. 4 shells between the pineapple. The pineapple is almost done, and then we will just be working shells until we get down. I mean, we are going to be working shells all throughout, but when we get down at the bottom, we'll have to do some more shaping. But there we go. So work this all the way around. When you get back around to the beginning, you've completed your last pineapple repeat. Come on back and we will work this last section together. Okay, worked all the way around. Let's go ahead and end this round, round 13, together. So we're going to end it mostly the way we've been working. So into our first shell here, the first treble, we work a shell. You're going to work your single crochet right next to it. Work a shell. I should be more specific. Work a shell down here in the single. Work a single crochet, and then join into the top of your chain 4 with a slip stitch. Now slip stitch over into the next stitch, and then you're going to chain 4. So this next round is going to be worked much like this round, except for now we're going to wind up with 5 shells between the pineapples. So chain 1 and turn, work a single crochet, now into this next single crochet over, work a shell. It's 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to go ahead and mark my starting single crochet. There we go. I just like it. It gives me sort of a finish line to look at. Anyways, work a single crochet into the next shell over. Work a shell into the next single crochet over. Remove any and all doggy hairs. For me, that is a constant. Although after I did the Angora shawl, it's not just doggy hairs anymore. I have been living in a world of Angora ever since. Okay, work a single crochet into the next shell over into that middle stitch. Into the last stitch of that same shell, work another shell. We're going to chain 7 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Work our pineapple repeat. That's 1 and 2. Chain 3 and 3. We're getting close to finishing the pineapple. That's fine. Chain 7. Into the first stitch, just like we did the last round, into the first treble of your first shell, work a shell, 2 and 3, work a single crochet into that same shell, the next stitch over, into the single crochet over, work a shell, 1, 2, and 3. Next shell over, work a single crochet. Next single over, work a shell. 1, 2, and 3. Next center of next shell over gets a single. Next single over gets a shell. 1, 2, and 3. And of course, center of next shell gets a single, and last stitch of same shell gets a shell. 1, 2, and 3. Then you're going to follow that by chaining 7 and working your pineapple repeat. Chain 7 and into the first treble of your first shell. Start working your shells. We should have 5 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 between the pineapples. So keep working this all the way around, and we will finish this round together. Okay, let's finish this round together. There is my last chain 7. And just like we have been, into the first treble of the first shell, we work a shell. That's 1, 2, and 3. Into the next stitch over, we work our single crochet. Into the next single crochet, we work a shell. 1, 2, and 3. Work a single crochet, or let me see here. No, then we join with the slip stitch. Forgive me. We join with the slip stitch into the starting single crochet. Glad I looked again. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we are good. Then we are to chain 4 and turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, and turn. So this round we're going to do more of what we did in the last round. We're just adding another shell. We'll have 6 shells between the pineapples. So since we started with a chain 4 right here in this single crochet, we're going to finish our first shell right here. So work 2 more trebles into this stitch. There we go. And then work a single crochet into the top of the next shell over, work a shell into the next single crochet over, work a single crochet and then a shell, single crochet, and in the last stitch work a shell. And you're going to start by working a shell into the first stitch of your, just like we have been doing. So all of these will be worked like normal. The only thing that's going to be different every round we've been working so far is that we're working a shell into the first stitch of the shell and into the last stitch of the shell. And this time we will be chaining 8 before we do our pineapple repeat. Now let's chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to reduce these 2 loops down to 1. 1, 2, 3, and there we go. Now we have 1 loop coming off the end of the pineapple there. Chain 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we start working our increase again. So work a shell onto the first treble of your first shell. So this is the repeat all the way around. It's just like the last few rounds we've been working, where all we're doing is adding an extra shell onto the first treble and the last treble of the first and last shell. And we are now also chaining 8 between the pineapple repeats. Okay, I will meet you when we get back around to the beginning, and we will close this round off together. I'll be right back. Okay, let's finish off round 15 together. I've just chained my last chain 8. So we're going to work a shell into the first treble of the first shell. 1, 2, and 3. Work a single crochet into the next stitch over. Work a shell into the next single crochet over. 2 and 3. Single crochet into the middle of the next shell over, and a shell into the next single crochet over. 1, 2, and 3. Single crochet into the center of the next shell over, and then slip stitch into the top of our starting chain 4. There we go. And then we just need to confirm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there we go. Let's see what round 16 wants us to do. Okay, so basically much of the same. The only difference being we're going to close off the pineapple, but we are still increasing. So we're still adding a new pineapple to the first treble crochet of the shell and the last treble crochet of the last shell. This time we are going to undo my chain 1. Oh, that wasn't a chain 1. Whale. So let me rejoin my slip stitch, and we are going to slip stitch over again chain 1 and turn. Work a single crochet into the same place we just joined, and start working our shells and single crochets all the way across. Single crochet, shell into the next single crochet, just the same that we've been doing for the last several rows. So now we're going to have 7 shells between the pineapples. Single crochet, next single crochet over gets a shell. 1, 2, and 3. A single crochet and then a shell into the last stitch of the last shell, just like we've been doing. Let's chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Work 1 single crochet into the top of the last loop, just right into the last loop, I should say. Then chain 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and work a shell into the first treble of the first shell. So this will be the repeat all the way around. And when you get to the end, which I'm going to mark the top of my single crochet. Oh boy. There we go. When you get to the end, work your shell into the first stitch, single crochet, shell into the single crochet, shell into the single crochet, and then slip stitch into your starting single crochet. I will meet back up with you when we get all the way back around to the beginning. Okay, so worked my way all the way back around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shells. So I slip stitched to the starting single crochet. Now let's chain 4 and turn, and we're going to work a shell right into this joining stitch. And we're going to completely close off the pineapple section. So the rest of the poncho will just be the shells. There we go. And just like we have been, we're going to work a single crochet. Let's work our regular pattern here, working a shell into the single. Work a single. Are still going to work an increase. So here we go. Work a single into the center of the last shell. And again, like we have been, we're going to place another shell into the last treble of that same shell. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over twice, and into the first treble of the first shell, work a shell. Now the pineapple is completely closed, and we are all done with that section. And then just work your pattern, repeat as usual. You're going to work a single into this same shell, then work a shell, single, single all the way, and work a shell into the last shell, yarn over twice, and immediately work a shell into the first stitch of the first shell, closing off the pineapple. Here is how that looks. So there we go, work that all the way around. You're going to end with working your usual repeats. Work your single crochet into the center of this last shell, and then join to the top of your starting chain 4 with a slip stitch, and then come on back. Okay, finished working all the way around. I slip stitched after I worked my last single crochet into the center of the last shell, slip stitched into the top of the turning chain 4. Now we're going to slip stitch over. You're probably starting to see an every other row repeat with the way we start these. So every other row we're starting off with a fan stitch, and then every other row we're starting off with a single crochet, then a fan stitch into the next single crochet over. So let's chain 1 and turn. So this row we are starting off with our single crochet. And this row is our last row of repeats. I believe for now, I'm not going to say that for sure, but for now, this is the last row of repeats. And then the next 2 rows after this, we're going to sustain the same shell count. It's just we're going to be alternating. Our start is the only real difference, because like I said, every other row we start with a single crochet, and every other row we start with a fan. So now we started with our single crochet. Now we're going to work a fan into the next single crochet over as we have been. And our increases are going to be exactly as they have been. Since we can still visibly see where the pineapple is. We can still see where we need to put an increase very easily. Right here. We're going to put into the last shell, work an increase, work a single crochet, and then work another increase. We want to end this round with a total of 63 shells. So now we're going to work our single crochet. So I'm just going to work my way over there really, really quick. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3 trebles. That is the top of our third treble. Even though it looks like just a chain 1 space, it's the top of our third treble. So first we need to work our single crochet into the middle treble. Now we're going to work a shell. 1, 2, 3, work a single crochet right here where these 2 stitches join, right there. And then we have 1, 2, and 3. So right here in this first one, we're going to work a shell. 1, 2, and 3. And then of course into the very next stitch over we work our single crochet. So this will be the repeat all the way around, and you're going to end by working your regular repeats, of course starting with a shell into the first treble of your first shell, and work right here into this single crochet, work a shell, and then join into the starting single crochet, and then come on back and I will give you your homework. Okay, worked all the way around, created our increases. We should now have, what did it say, 63 shells. So the next 2 rounds are going to be worked exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same, because we're not going to be making any more increases. So the next 2 rounds, we're going to maintain our shell count. So everywhere you see a single crochet, work a shell, work your single crochet into the top of the shell. And when you get to this point right here, nothing changes. You're going to work a shell, work a single, work a shell into this single crochet, work a single. So that's nothing like that's going to change. So for rows 19 and 20, nothing changes. 19 and 20, they wrote down for no other reason than to get us used to the idea, which we've already been doing, of our alternate starts, our alternating starts. So the last row we started with a single crochet, and that ended us between 2 shells. When you end on a single crochet between 2 shells, automatically know this row is going to start with a chain 4, turn, and work a shell between the shells. The This is how every row for the rest of the entire poncho will be worked. This one will start with a shell, right? And then we work our single crochet. Then the next round, we're going to end at the top of the shell. So therefore we're going to slip stitch over one more like we've been doing, work our single crochet. And so that's going to be the single crochet row. So every other row, just know whenever you're ending at the top of a shell, your next round will be a single crochet round. And whenever you end in between the shells on a single crochet, your next round up is going to be a shell round. That is all that rounds 19 and 20 teach you, is that you are working, you are starting, it's a different start. Other than that, we maintain our shell count. So we're not going to be doing any more increases. So let's work rounds 19 and 20. So 19 is going to start with the chain 4 turn and work a shell, then work a single crochet. I'll be back around and start row 20 with you, but then I'm going to give you homework because it's going to tell us to repeat the last 2 rounds until the work measures 8 inches from the last round we worked at the point of a pineapple. So at the point of a pineapple, from the last round we're going to work up here, you want it to measure 8 inches out, okay? So that's why they really want you to understand how important it is that you know at what point, what row are we working on. Just to know when you end, see, this one is going to end with a slip stitch into the single crochet. Therefore, we are now between 2 shells. So we just chain 4, turn, and work a shell. And then the next row up, we're going to slip stitch over one more stitch to work our single crochet round, okay? So I'll be right back. I'm going to work round 19, starting with our shell because it is between the shells. And then we will do our single crochet round. And then I'm going to leave it to you to complete the additional 8 inches of rows needed before we move on. Okay, now for this round here, this is ending round 19. We end with a single crochet into the top of our last shell, and then slip stitch into the top of our first shell. There we go. So because we ended with a slip stitch into the top of a shell and not a single crochet, we are now going to slip stitch over one more time to the center of the shell, because our single crochets always go into the center of a shell. That doesn't change even when we're starting. That's the same rule. So you have to slip stitch over to the center of your first shell there, chain 1 and turn, work a single crochet into that stitch. It likes to twist on me a little. There we go. And then into the next single crochet over, start working your stitch pattern repeat. So repeat rounds 19 and 20, the last round we worked and the round we are working right now. Repeat these 2 rounds until you measure 8 inches. So basically 8 inches out from this last round we're working right now. So you'll want to measure it at 8 inches. When you get enough rows worked that you now have 8 inches worked from this point. So what I'm going to do, I will go ahead and just put a stitch marker right up into here, right under those. I can still work into that stitch and it won't be in the way. This is going to be my measuring point. I know it says from the point of a pineapple. Does it really matter? Does it? I mean, I don't think that it's going to be more or less 8 inches if we're working from the point of a pineapple or not. So this is going to be my measuring point. So this is where 1 will go all the way up to 8. So that's what I'm going to do there. And I'm also going to mark my single crochet. And maybe I'll move my stitch marker over to the pineapple point just to stay true to the pattern. I might do that. If I don't think about doing it, I'm not worried about it because my placement is now marked. I can still get into that stitch, no problem. Okay, so I'll be back whenever I have worked the number of rows I needed to accomplish 8 inches from this point on. Be back. Okay, so since this video is going to be pretty long, I'm going to call this the end of part 1. So I'm ending this at the point of our homework where we need to achieve the 8 inches. I did go ahead, just for the sake of sticking 100% to the pattern, I moved my stitch marker indicating where the start of my 8 inches will be above the pineapple. So anyways, I'm going to call it this is our homework now. This is the end of part 1 of this poncho. Just because I don't want to put out a super long video that takes me 2 weeks to get out. I want to be able to get this out to you now so you can start it. And then by the time you're done, the next video will be out. By the time you've reached what you need to reach, the next video will be out and ready for you to go. So it will all work out perfectly. And if you're watching this in, say, October, well, both videos are already out. So I will see you guys in the next video, part 2.